Hello. Good morning. It's not morning, but maybe it's morning somewhere. It's definitely morning somewhere. Today I'm going to do a very, very late 2025 wrap up, both writing and reading, mainly reading. I want to sort of preface this video with saying that I don't really care about the year cutoff or having yearly goals. I never have yearly goals or having reading goals, writing goals. I'm sure they can help. I'm sure they help a lot of people succeed and do what they want to do in a year, but I also think they're kind of toxic in many ways, especially those reading 100 books and you see people at the end of the year rushing to get 20 books or something, and you're not reading because you enjoy, you're reading because you want a number. To me, that's if that's what you want, then whatever, but it's kind of shallow, at least to me. I want to read books, and I can get it. I do get it. Having a bigger number of books read feels better, but or any sort of statistic, whatever you did in the year, write a lot of words, for example. But I don't really adhering to that kind of goal structure. That's just my personal preference. So this is just kind of because the year did technically end, it is sort of a way to track progress, right? Rather than any sort of competition or actual acclaim or accomplishment. It can feel like that, but whatever. Sorry about that noise. It's gonna sound like there's thunder and I can't do anything about that, so sorry. Anyways, do want to just quickly go over writing stats because I wrote nearly 1 million words last year, which is a lot, and I want to say that somewhere, so I'm saying that here. Yeah, so I guess I'll go over that real quick. I have more specific numbers. I wrote about 340k on one of my projects, Project Emerald, which was draft 4 of that book. I did also write about 15k more on a draft 4.5 of also Project Emerald. That included book 2 and 3 of draft 4. And then I also wrote around 560k of Project PA, my other book, which was draft 1, so drafting that one, which was book 1, 2, and quite a bit of 3. I also wrote 15k or something of a short story, which adds up to about 930. But then there was also a lot of drafting or outlining, world building, other various projects that I did, which is more than a few 10k each, and research and stuff, taking notes for that. So it's about 1,900,000 to 1 million words. So that's basically all I have to say about that, but I wanted to say it somewhere because I think it's, I don't know if it's impressive. It's kind of obsessive actually, but I did it, so. Okay, and then next I'm going to go over what I read last year. So in 2025, I read a total of 33 books, which might not sound impressive to a lot of people because I know a lot of people get to 100 and stuff, but most years I get around 20, so that's impressive to me. I'm not going to go over every book because a lot of them were for school and stuff, kind of boring. A lot of them I don't even have. And then there were also a lot of them which were Tolkien. So I read The Fall of Gondolin, The Nature of Middle-earth, and then I also read most of the Legendarium, so I'm not going to go over each of the individual books. The rest of the books that I read, I will go over. I'm not going to rank them. I don't rank books. I don't even do out of 5 or anything. I have multiple reasons for that. One is because there's more nuance to books and enjoyment of books and what's in books than a number, which also is why I won't go into explaining why I don't rank them, because it will take too long, which is why I don't rank them, if that makes any sense. Anyways, I'll go roughly in order of when I read them, more or less. This is the moose sitting on top of the first book, that's why I have that. The first duology I read this year was Spend the Dawn and Unravel the Dusk by Elizabeth Lim. These are both YA novels, I'm really bad at describing books, I just realized. So I guess I won't describe every book, but I did like these a lot. I think I like Elizabeth Lim's other books better, I think. Like, Six Crows, or I always call this Six Crimson Cranes. Six Birds. We love Six Birds here. I did like these, though. I did enjoy them. They were enjoyable. It's basically a story about a poor seamstress woman. I don't know how old she is. Teenager. Who her father gets invited to the emperor's court to sew a dress for or to enter a competition to be able to sew a dress for the new wife of the emperor. And there's like a whole political aspect to that. But he can't go, her father can't go, so she disguises herself as a man and sneaks into this competition. And then there's like a whole thing with the like wizard guy, and then romance and all that stuff, and a lot of things happen. There's like demons and magic, and I really like her world building and magic system. It's like the same as her other books. Same world, slightly different magic system. So yeah, that's the first one. And also, I do want to say as well, I would say I recommend all these books. I don't usually read books that I don't enjoy, not because like I DNF a bunch of books if I'm not enjoying it. I just am kind of picky of what I choose to read. So I usually only pick things I know I'm going to enjoy. The next one I'll start with is Priory of the Orange Tree. This did take me about a whole month to read, but granted, it's like, this is basically like an average size duology. It's only 100 pages, so that's like 2 400-page books. This one's hard to describe because it's like a lot of things all at once. But I definitely really recommend this. It's fantasy, there's dragons, there's court intrigue, there's magic, there's other dragons. Yeah, I do really recommend this. I wish I could describe it better so I could like actually recommend it. If you're interested in fantasy at all, go read the blurb at the least. Go read reviews so you can actually get a gist of it. Because I'm bad at this. But the next one I read right after that was The Day of Fallen Night, which is the prequel novel. Prequel by 500 or 600, I think it's 500 years. So it's connected, but it's also very disconnected, you know. This one is longer, but not by that much. It's like 50 pages longer. And then, let's see. I'll come to that in a second. And then after that, I read another Elizabeth Lim novel. I read Forgery of Fate, which was her new one. It's kind of shiny. It's like the pretty version. I'm not unpopular opinion here. I am not a fan of sprayed edges. I do like golden edges. I like deckled edges, but I actually don't really like sprayed edges. It's not super popular. Anyways, this is another like YA romantasy. One thing I like about her, Elizabeth Lim's, like romantasy, because I don't really read romantasy, is it's very like 50-50 with the plot and the world building stuff. Minimum 50-50, I would say. It's basically a girl, she's a painter, she has a debt to pay, so she like makes a deal with this cursed dragon lord, and basically she'll pretend to be his wife to like appease his grandfather or something and like break his curse, and then he'll give her a shit ton of money. So magic, they go under the sea, dragons obviously, like I said. Yeah. Oh, I forgot, after Spin the Dawn, I actually didn't go straight to Priory of the Orange Tree. I read, before that, okay, I read Shadow of the Gods. I read the whole Bloodsworn trilogy. Shadow of the Gods, Hunger of the Gods, Fear of the Gods. This is basically a Norse-inspired high fantasy with, like, magic, and yeah, it's very Norse-inspired. There's a mother whose son gets kidnapped, and she's like goes on a rampage to try and find them. There's lots of battles. If you like actual like battle scenes and stuff, these books would be great for you. I'm not as big of a fan of like actual like fighting battle scenes, but the rest of it I did really like. Not just his, just in general. I don't really care for that as much after like the third one. Yeah, okay, cool, they fight. And then, ooh, hello. And then, okay, jumping back to being in order. I read Everything is Tuberculosis. I think a lot of people read this when it came out. I don't remember when it came out. I didn't read it when it came out, but Everything is Tuberculosis. I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I want to read more nonfiction, but I like John Green. I like how he talks. That's one of my things with nonfiction is it's interesting. The content of nonfiction is interesting. Often how it's written isn't. John Green, I like how he talks, so I haven't actually read anything by him before. I enjoyed this. I think you would enjoy it even if you're not like a fan of learning random niche things. I am. I'm willing to learn basically anything. Fun fact, I did actually meet John Green, and briefly, just a signing, but this is signed by him. Next, oh, they're right next to each other. I read Sunrise on the Reaping. I feel like I don't have to say much about this. Either you know of it and therefore you know what it is, or you don't. Basically, if you don't know, this is not the prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. It is in the perspective of Haymitch during his Hunger Games. If for some reason you liked Hunger Games and you haven't heard of this, please read it. The movie comes out, I believe, at the end of this year. I don't know if there's a more precise date. I think it's in the fall. Very excited for that. Loved it. Yeah. It's very good. I do want to say, I loved Haymitch from the start, from when I first read Hunger Games in like 6th grade. I've always loved Haymitch, so I was here first medal, just putting that out there. I also read, I feel like I need a better transition than that. When this came out, Among Burning Flowers. Fun thing about this book is it is illustrated, actually. Let's see if this is a spoiler. I don't know. But there are drawings in it, which is really nice. So this is a prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, not a prequel to A Day of Fallen Night, just Priory of the Orange Tree. This one happens like over the span of, I believe, 3 years, and then leads up to right before it. Like the last scene is one of the early on scenes of Priory of the Orange Tree. So you could probably read it without reading Priory of the Orange Tree. You definitely could read A Day of Fallen Night without Priory, but you could read this one first. And then the icon, Frankenstein. This is not a very pretty copy. This is just my mom's copy that I stole. I did annotate it a little bit, but, or just mark it. I am a big fan of Frankenstein. I love the book, and the new movie that came out in November. The new one that came out, I love that. Always been a big fan of Frankenstein. If you don't know what Frankenstein is, I'd be surprised. Go read Frankenstein if you're even mildly interested. I will say, Victor is a pretentious, stuck-up, annoying little asshole. So be warned, because most of it is in his POV. So it's not necessarily harder to read, it's just he is horrible, but that's like the point. I feel like a lot of classics are that way, where it's like, okay, I love this, but also like, I don't want to read in this POV anymore because this person sucks. I feel like you get that a lot nowadays. People try to be relatable and stuff, which, you know, love and hate it. I don't know. And then following that is I read The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. I have a high bar for Arthurian retellings, not because I'm pretentious or anything, but because I was and am and ever will be obsessed with Merlin, BBC Merlin, the show. So it's not that I'm like, oh, accuracy or anything like that. It's just that when I think of Arthur and Merlin and all of that, I think of the show. And I did think of that a lot while reading this, but I did also like this on its own. So as you can already tell by what I was talking about, this is an Arthurian retelling. It is basically, Arthur, it's mostly, there are flashbacks. It's like half the chapters, the third chapters are like flashbacks to each story of the specific knights in it. But basically it is mostly after the Battle of Camelot, where Arthur dies and a bunch of the knights die. So basically what's left is like the misfit knights, the ones you don't really hear about, the you know, the misfits effectively. And then there's also, it's in the perspective of a young guy who's like, his biggest dream is to become a knight and he's too late. So they have to, you know, save Britain and whatnot. And I really like this. I like a lot of the themes, the characters. Yeah, I have no further notes, I guess, but I do really like that one. Even despite my quote-unquote high bar for retellings of such. And then, oh shit, I have to get up to get this one. And then, the Odyssey. I have read the Odyssey before. But not this translation. Also, I'll admit, technically not cover to cover. But I have read it. But I read the Odyssey translated by Emily Wilson. I really enjoyed it. The Odyssey is like one of my favorite, I guess, books, epics, stories, I guess. Stories. There we go. So, got this pretty shiny one. If you don't know what the Odyssey is, I would not know where to start describing it. So, you know, the Odyssey. Loved it. Duckle batches. Yeah. And I guess last is Tress of the Emerald Sea. This is by Brandon Sanderson. I think this one's relatively popular. Brandon Sanderson's definitely popular. This is a standalone. Basically, it's about a girl who decides to leave her home to save her friend. And she lives in a world where it's widely ocean, and that ocean is made out of spores that you travel across through mechanisms. It is in the POV of one of Brandon Sanderson's like most popular characters, Hoyd. If you know, you know, I guess. If you don't, I don't know how to explain that to you. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one too. I feel like I could say that about most of them. Again, I recommend all of these. So that's it for the most part. But since it is February, I will add, in 2025, I did start Watership Down, and I read quite a bit of it, but holiday season was really busy, and January was also really busy, so this one took most of that time. I adore this book. I don't really know how to describe it. It's about rabbits. They leave their home, they go on an adventure, they make friends, they grow closer, and then they build their own new home. And I really love this book. I don't know why I love it so much. I could probably unpack that, but I do. I really love this book, and I really recommend it. I've heard people call it a classic. I haven't heard of it until recently. It's a kid's book, but it's definitely the kind of kid's book that is widely applicable to any age. One, because it was written in the 70s, so it's not like the actual prose style isn't like modern children's books, you know? So it doesn't feel like you're reading a child's book. I could see how a children would enjoy this. I could see an adult enjoying it, such as myself, anyone in between, anyone older, younger, whatever. Well, I guess you can't be younger than a child. It was kind of like, I mentioned how I only really buy books I know I'm going to enjoy. That was one where it's like, I didn't actually really know if I was going to like it. I didn't know what it was about. I just went for it. Good decision on my part. And then recently, I also finished, and I didn't start this one in 2025. I started this one this year. But I recently read and finished City of Brass. I'm really enjoying it. I am currently on the second one, A Kingdom of Copper. I really like this one. I'm really enjoying reading it. It's kind of, it's one of those books where it's like, I'll think about it in the middle of the day and go like, wow, I can't wait until I can go and read that. So I really like this one. I do recommend it. It's a Middle Eastern inspired fantasy. Well, Middle Eastern inspired. It is in our world, but it's also in the world of the jinn. So basically it starts with a girl in Cairo, Egypt, and she accidentally summons a jinn. There's like a whole like a separation of cultures. There's like different, I don't know if they're called tribes. I think they're called tribes of jinn. And she accidentally summons one, and then he takes her to the city of Daevabad. And that's the trilogy. The Daevabad trilogy, and he takes her to the city, and a lot of things happen there. There's another POV. I will say, I despised, and it might be where I'm at in the book, so give me some leeway. I'm only like a fourth of the way through the second book. Maybe it'll completely turn around, that I hate Dara so much. I hate him so much. Whenever he shows up, I actually just genuinely get pissed off, and like in a good way. Like, it's a good written character that I hate. Like I mentioned with like Frankenstein or any of those like stories where you have like a POV of a character you just hate. Not Sunrise on the Reaping. A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is the same way, where it's like, I hate this guy so much, but I enjoy reading it because it's like a good character. It's set up for a redemption arc. We'll see if that's enough for me. I don't know. I might just hold a grudge for the whole thing unless it's a really good redemption arc. I want it to be a good redemption arc because I don't want to be pissed off every time I have to read his POV. But anyways, if you love him, I don't know what's wrong with you, but good for you. And then adversely, I really like Ollie. I love him so much. It's like every time Ollie shows up, I love him even more, and every time Dara shows up, I hate him even more. And like, they both have their flaws. Everyone in this book sucks. They all suck. They're all like bigots and biased and hateful and violent for effectively no good reason, which is great on a book level, but also like, please just stop it. Anyways, love that so far. I did buy the third one, which is bigger. How long is this? 750-ish. So I'm committed. That's it. Thank you for watching, and go read a book. Like, actually go read a book, because I know you want to and you say you're going to, but then you don't. Go read or write or take a nap. Bye.